Welcome to Close of Play with me, Sanjay Murthy.
And me, Geraint Jones.
It gets his own intro this week. We're going to talk about resting versus playing. Janet, Gus Atkinson is being rested as part of his ECB central contract. But he's played one match. He's taken 2 wickets. And the previous test he played was like on Boxing Day, the Boxing Day test in the Ashes, like 4 months ago. Why does he need a rest?
Well, the ECB are clearly concerned about his fragility of body. He didn't get through that Ashes series, and so they're looking at him. And the way you have to do it, he must be a shoo-in. That's how you can justify it. Is that Atkinson's name must be inked in for that first Test match squad to play, because otherwise, I do think it's wrong that he's not playing if they don't pick him. But I do fully understand resting him at this point. He'll have a bit of a run out with a game or two leading up to that first test to get some rhythm, get the body back bowling. I'm probably sure he's bowling in the nets, for Surrey and doing some top-up stuff. But just the rigour of these early matches of the county season, the ECB are clearly concerned about him busting out with in mind that there's, I think it's six home tests this summer, and they will want him to play in as many of those as they can.
There's 2 rounds of county championship matches left. I don't know whether Surrey are on a deload at any point, but there's 2 rounds anyway. Aren't they better off playing him earlier and getting games in a row and then giving him a rest as the test match gets closer? Test match starts on 4th of June, which is exactly a month today.
Yeah, but we're fine athletes, cricketers, and like Olympians taper getting ready for getting ready for the Olympics. With cricketers, you want to have good sort of foundations going in and good form going in. With a bowler, you want to be in rhythm. So there's no point in him being in rhythm now and then sitting out and doing nothing. For me, as a bowler, he wants to be preparing in those week or two beforehand, ready for that first test match. Because when that county side, that last county match is finished, he will then get a number of days break before the test match to recuperate and get himself ready. And hopefully he's bagged a load of wickets and he's going in there absolutely flying and ready to tear it apart.
Did you say cricketers are finely tuned athletes? Why were you late for this recording?
My children forced me to eat salted caramel ice cream. Not my fault.
Very good. But if you're go back to bowling, if you're, I don't know, Matthew Potts, who we saw on Friday when we were up at Lord's doing our live show, you're Sam Cook, you're Jamie Porter, you're Ethan Bamber, you are Sonny Baker, and you've been running in for 3 or 4 weeks now. I mean, Matthew Potts has got 18 wickets, apart from Jimmy Anderson. I think he's certainly a leading wicket taker and did 1. Why would, it must be disheartening for them to think we're making all of this effort. And if you think England are going to go with 3 seamers, one of which is Jofra, one of which is Josh Tongue, and the other one is Atkinson, they're thinking, well, they're all being rested. Jofra's off at the IPL. Tongue's only played a couple of games. They're going, why are we bothering?
Well, I think because they will know as bowlers it's tough work, and something at any point could give them that opportunity. So those guys are bowling for an opportunity. That's why they're doing the graft now. And if I was reading something today that Ollie Robinson received messages and communication from Rob Key and Brendan McCullum that he's not out of their plans. And so on the back of that, I'm assuming that someone like Potts has had the same thing. We saw that the England bowling coach was there watching him on Friday at Lord's. So he's clearly in there thinking. And so he's pushing his claim as best he can. And you can't control what the ECB do with those contracted players. Those guys that you've mentioned there are controlling what they can control. They're playing for their county because that's who they're contracted to play for, and they're doing the best. And if they do that, they're putting themselves in the shop window. So that's their mentality at the moment. I think Atkinson and Tongue are in a different position.
But it must be disheartening to be running in so hard. Yes, I understand they're contract to their counties and that's their job, but a few episodes ago, we asked what's the point of county cricket, and it was to produce England players. And if you are Matthew Potts, who, as you say, we saw your old bowling coach from your side, Troy Cooley, on Friday, and you know why. I understand he's not going to stop bowling and he's not going to try as hard as he can because that's his job. But in the back of his mind, he must be thinking, I'm close to an England call up. And yet he sees Jofra, bowling 4 overs expensively in the IPL and Tongue and Atkinson not bothering to, not bothering as harsh, not being selected because they're being rested.
Cynical. You're grumpy. Come on, mate. It's Bank
Yeah,
Holiday
it's been a
Monday.
long
You're meant to have
weekend, mate, isn't it?
rested and listen to you. Go, yeah. You're sort of like it's not fair. Stamp and roll yourself on the ground and bang
Yeah.
your. That doesn't come into their thinking at all. They're looking at themselves and they're thinking, well, there will be a place in the squad, and if I'm in the squad, I'm a chance of playing, and that's what these guys. It may only be one spot, so you've got competition there for that one spot. But we're just guessing. We don't know if Tongue's in their plans or not. We don't. We have no idea. So that's the approach you're taking as a player. If it's one spot or two, I want to have my name on there, and I'm going to run in and I'm going to give it my absolute everything to sort of make sure that Key, McCullum, the likes of those guys, and he's probably Potts has got the advantage of he's got the England captain there watching him, and so that's another thing for him is like if I can impress Stokesy, I've played some international cricket before. I'm just going to keep going. I'm going to keep going and hope that one spot or two spot is going to have my name on it.
Stokes was there, wasn't he, on Friday, netting? Looked very slim.
Yeah. I think a lot of people have seen the Instagram stuff, and don't forget he had a pretty horrific injury. Not
Yeah, it's
pretty
bad.
horrific; it was horrific. Yeah, and so I imagine with that eating was a bit difficult. He just looks he's phenomenally fit. That is the one thing that you can sort of say about Ben Stokes is his fitness. He's not sure there is a fitter guy in that England camp, and so
Yeah.
he's not resting about. And so he looks fit and looks strong, and that's what he needs to be because his body's taken a pounding over the last sort of 6, 7, 8 years.
I'll lulled you into a false sense of security there by giving you some Ben Stokes stuff. I'm going back to the England setup thing, and I'll come to Harry Brook in a second. But if you go by virtue of your argument of Atkinson must be playing, Tongue must be playing, they're all being rested. Rayan Ahmed, therefore, must be told he's playing because he's jetted off to play in the IPL. The batters, I mean,
All the opposite. All the
why?
opposite. All that he's been told that you're not the spinner we're looking at. Go and get the IPL experience.
Well,
That's I was thinking about
why
that.
wouldn't he just play county cricket then?
Because of that opportunity to go and play in the IPL, learn from. We had this debate recently. We learn from the best. Yeah, exactly. So with that, go and learn to bowl spin against the best batters of short form in the world. So upskill yourself because yes, currently you're not quite there in the test side. So that for me is probably where that line of thinking is. He's made a phone call to Brendan McCullum or Rob Key's probably easier to get to. He's on this at least in this country, and to say,
same time
listen,
zone.
Keysy, I know you can't tell me, but in terms of that first test, I've been given the opportunity to go to the IPL. If I go to that IPL, is it going to ruin my chances, or do you need me to stay here and play county cricket because I'm looking to play? And they would have probably given him on score and say, listen, mate, yeah, go for it. Go get that experience. We're currently not quite looking at you for test matches, but T20s, one-day cricket, 100%. That's where we see you joining this England sort of team in the long term.
If we're picking a side on data, bearing in mind that we think that Duckett, Bethel through to Smith, Atkinson, you think Atkinson's going to play, uh, Archer and Tongue are going to play, that basically leaves the spinner and the other opening bat. And we had our watch list, don't we, of players, and James Roux started off pretty well, and he's obviously been consistent and stuff through this all. He scored, what has he scored so far? 386 runs. My man Dom Sibley's going well, a couple of hundreds in a row now, but the batter is putting is, really pushing forward as a claim is Emilio Gay. And he got 100 at Lords yesterday, a couple of days ago, looking very good. I mean, if you just looked on the data, he's the guy that's going to step up and take that place. So it looks like, Duckett, Gay, Bethel, Dan Smith. But then you've got Atkinson, Archer, and Tongue as your quicks. And we're then left with the spinner equation. Dawson hasn't exactly set the world on fire. He's taken 6 wickets, I think, or 8 wickets or something so far. He's got to start. He didn't play. I did Hampshire Glamorgan commentary the weekend, and he didn't. He's got a stomach injury, so he didn't play. Who apart from Ray and Ahmed is that spinner?
Yeah, that's become the tricky one because, as you've just mentioned there, I think Emilio Gay is inked in. He's a batter that is going to break your heart. That Dom Sibley's not mentioned there, but I think that he's done it 300s, and the method of the way he does it, you could look at it and go, do we want 3 left-handers at the top? But if there are best 3 batters, that's what you choose. And he's getting all the raps, and he did well for the Lions. He's he's making his run at precisely the right time, and so I think you can tick that off. You're right. The concern is the spin, because as well as that, we talked a little bit about seam. Add Sonny Baker to that, add Ollie Robinson. There's guys there that they can put in and around that. Justin Potts, who they can fill with that. But their worry
Justin
is,
Potts is still your
and their
mate from
concerns.
home, isn't he?
Ah, I did this the other day.
You
Matthew
did,
Potts.
yeah.
Yeah, Justin Potts, an absolute legend of a man I played with at Beanley Logan Cricket. So if there's any Aussies listening into that, Potsy, who's now a bit of a life coach, I could probably do with him, to be honest. But yeah, come on, mate, come on. This is my Matthew Potts. So, but moving on to the spin, the other one, I think we might. I was just having a look today, and Calvin Harrison is someone who's also taken a number of wickets. I think he's taken 12 wickets. But looking at his stats, and I use Copilot, so Copilot could have plucked that out of its rear end, but he only goes at sort of 3 and over. He's a tall guy, well over 6 foot. So he's coming into the reckoning for me a bit as well. He does bat. So there's a few. Bashir's playing. He
He's
didn't get a
taken
load of
9
wickets
wickets so far.
Yeah, he's doing all right, but again, that tall, he came to Kent and he's gone away losing. Kent, magnificent win today. So
Yeah.
uh, yeah, so that's I don't know. The spin one is what's really throwing me. There's no one really. I don't that you're going is a complete shoe in. It could be anyone, and that for me is going to be the interesting one when they announce the squad, where they go. Do they be brave and pick someone completely new, or do they go back to Bashir, who's they've seen over the winter? He's playing county cricket now, and he's doing what they want to do.
The problem with Bashir is, I know Gus Atkinson's got a Test match 100, but he's batting at 8, which seems a bit high. And Bashir's batting 11. So for me, I'm going back to your Matt Critchley's, that sort of type of person where he can bat at 8. The guy that we haven't spoken about at any point is probably the most likely to fill that slot is Will Jacks, as he did in the Ashes, bowl whatever he bowled, supported by Joe Root, who took 4 wickets today, and there's your spin. And if they did that, it wouldn't surprise me at all. I think maybe too much has been made of the lack of spinner, and they know that as well, and they've got the solution in Will Jacks.
Possibly, but I've never met Will, and I'm sure he's a lovely bloke, but I just can't have it, because I watched him bowl in that in the Ashes, and he wasn't particularly threatening. And at some point, your spinner has to threaten.
Hmm.
You know, at some point they've got to dip in. And Joe Root's not getting any younger. He's got a dodgy back as it is. You know, I'm sure he's loving bowling, you know, and taking 4 wickets. But if you say to him, Joe, you know, we're going to need you to bowl 20 odd overs, you know, in an innings of the Test match, he'll look at you and say, well, what about my batting? You know. So yeah, I just can't see how they pick Will Jacks. He's not even playing red ball cricket. He's away playing white ball cricket. Um, and so yeah, it's a tough one. I don't have an answer. Maybe that's one to throw out to the viewers. Who on earth do they think will play that? And sensible answers only.
Go talking of not sensible answers and the IPL, Larry Jerry messaged us and said, the argument that netting in India is better is stupid. You said that, not me. A few years ago, we were talking about Burnout. Amazing how it vanishes once big money is there. So you obviously were talking about Jacob Bethel, and going out in the IPL. He's played a few games now. I think he's played 3 games. He's not exactly, you know, gone off rockets, but he's played 3 games. Um, let's not labour that point, I think, because whether we agree with Ahmed, Jacks, Jordan Cox, anybody Archer playing in the IPL is a moot point. I think what is interesting is that um, we live in an Ashes cycle. Ashley Giles said this a couple of shows ago. He said that administrations and everything revolves around the Ashes, and it's next summer, 2027. Is there a case for saying to Joe Root, Ben Stokes, and Jofra Archer, particularly, we're actually going to rotate you. We're going to rest you guys because we'll allow Gay and say James Rue or McKinney at the top or Abel. I know Abel's not young, or any of those other batters who are getting runs at the moment, to come in, Ace Tribe or whatever, to come in and play, get Test experience with a view to having a shot at a winter tour and then the Ashes. You're already shaking your head at me, so clearly you don't agree.
No, mate. England caps shouldn't come out because we want to give, for you've every Test match has to mean something. I sort of get your point with that experience going forward. Um, and if there's an injury or if there's something like that, then yes, those guys can get a chance. But you imagine going up to Joe Root and saying, Joe, just want you to sit this one out, mate. We're gonna have a look at young Rui because we're thinking about the Ashes next year, and and if you're, if he's doing well, then he might be in. And Joe Root will go, well, what about me? I'm not giving up my spot. And the one thing is, you never give up your place.
Yeah, okay.
Because if you give up your place, you're giving an opportunity for someone to keep it. And that's my philosophy. That's why I'm shaking my head, because none of those players in an England cap will want to give up their place to give someone else an opportunity.
They tried that once, didn't they, with Joe Root? Did he not get picked for something? Broad and Anderson also, they didn't go to the Caribbean, did they, under Alistair Cook? But didn't Joe Root get rested and he came back in? Do you remember that or not? Or was it just Broad and
Uh,
Anderson?
that would be my hiatus from not watching any cricket, mate.
Oh, yeah, that's right.
Why would you not go to the Caribbean?
Yeah. Yeah, it
Just
was,
first and foremost, you throw in the Caribbean. That would be the one place. Yeah. No, I am going to the Caribbean. There's no
yeah,
no two
exactly.
ways about it.
Caribbean was definitely Broad and Anderson. They didn't get picked. England were trying to move on from them, and then they came back soon afterwards, and the rest is history for those two. Um, Harry Brook hasn't played yet. I think he plays next week. Whether Root then gets rested and Harry Brook plays instead, we'll see. But he's a different case, is he? Do you think, to Gus Atkinson and Tung's kind of been rested? They only played 2 games. Actually, on that, do we give the bowlers too much rest compared with the batters? Because the batters have played a lot. James
Balance,
Smith
isn't
played
it?
every game.
Yeah, and now he's keeping as well.
Yeah.
The one thing, it's an interesting one. So I remember sitting hearing a conversation about bowlers and resting, and if you equate it to physical fitness. If you're a runner, for example, so you regularly run and then you you don't for a period of time, the tail off is pretty quick. So you'll maintain it for a few days, but then getting towards the end of the week, it's noticeable that you start to lose that.
Hmm.
Whereas bowling, they talk about bone density, and bone density, you think, oh, my bones are as dense as they're going to be. Well, bone density actually works in a similar way. So you want to keep. I'm going to completely probably uh, go against everything I've said with Atkinson here, which is why I will say he's probably bowling to a level outside, still currently, because they want to maintain your bone density, so your strength to be able to bowl, and it's maintained by bowling full pace. Not half pace little trotters, full pace, and so that's something that as well that they are aware of. But you've got the balance with the physical. They're more worried about muscles than anything. So there's so much science and mumbo jumbo that goes into it, and different counties have different opinions on how much you should or shouldn't bowl. We sort of scratch our head a bit about it when we're a little bit with the Kent stuff, and when we're looking at who we can select from the tier one stuff, because one county will say, well, no, they have to deload this week, and the next county will say, no, they're good, crack on. So it's a murky science, but it's one that they tend to protect the bowlers more because of their workloads, and batters you consider that you can keep playing.
Geraint Jones, Dr. Geraint Jones. Science is mumbo jumbo. You didn't actually say that, but if I string all the words together, that's
Yeah,
how it
yeah.
came out.
See
Viewer
the
San,
headlines now. Thanks, mate.
that's all right. I'm like your dad. Viewer Sanju, who, if you remember, gave us that side that had Jack Carson in it. He suggests resting Archer. Unless it's the Ashes or India or England play India or South Africa, or a bigger series, without obviously any disrespect to the other countries. But that, I suppose, is the antithesis of what you just said, is it? If your bone density argument is accurate, then Jofra just should play every game until he can't play, I suppose.
Yeah, well, he's one that is a prime example of it. So as a youngster, they're talking about his life in the Caribbean, which has had an impact on his bone density, which is why we've seen injuries. Come on, you want Jofra Archer playing in Test match? I'm not, to say to Jofra Archer, okay, Joff, we'll see you in June 2027 for the Ashes. Up until then, mate, do what you like.
But that's pretty much what
It's
happened
not
in the
going to
last
work.
Ashes, isn't it? I mean, pretty much we didn't see him. If he was injured or playing in the IPL or whatever, and then suddenly he's picked in the Ashes squad. What's the difference?
We had a serious elbow injury that he was coming back from, didn't he? He was, at the moment the moment he's fit and he's bowling, I think they'll want to manage him but keep him bowling, and he will want to as well, because he's a fast bowler. He's going to have a shorter career, arguably, than anyone else, and so let's make the most of him. And yes, let's desperately hope he gets to the Ashes, but let's do our best to get him there. But England fans, yeah, how disappointed would you be? You go and pay 150 quid to first day of Lords, and England win the toss and bowl because it's a bit over. Who do you want to see taking the ball and steaming in? You want to see Jofra, and ECB will be aware of that. Is that you got to keep keeping the fans happy with that? Coming in, Jofra is box office. People go and watch to see Jofra Archer bowl.
But at some point, Root, Stokes, Archer, especially those three again, are all going to give it up, and they're likely to all go at the same sort of time. What's the contingency there? Where's the plan? If no one, if anyone else, it doesn't matter who they are, isn't given a go at some point before those guys retire, won't we be in a cycle then of them being undercooked, and it's the same thing over and over again?
That's where the Lions come into it. The Lions trying to match as close as they can to test matches to see what these guys can do. That's why they mirror them when they go on tours. So that's where they're getting their opportunities, because you're right. We could have wholesale exodus of players, and probably more than likely after next year's Ashes. And so the likes, so these guys that are waiting in the wings, they're going to have one more year's experience. And what the ECB should be doing is some planning to go, okay, how can we get them so that they are fully ready to go? And it's via the Lions. That's why the Lions play good standard opposition every summer and go away in the winter.
Yeah, so you're going with everyone plays, and everybody else in county cricket, keep doing what you're doing. You're not going to get a game this year, by the way, but keep doing what you're doing. And when we're ready, we're going to pick you. Is that pretty much what it looks like?
Welcome to professional sport. You can't jump up and down and say, I want to play and I want to play now. We're not in Willy Wonka, not Charlie in the Chocolate Factory saying, was it Veruca Salt saying, I want it, and then we get no chance. You wait till there's an opportunity. Then you come in and you perform.
Fair enough. Going back to Larry Jerry's point about argument that netting in India is better, you're stupid, all that stuff. His last point in that, which I sort of glossed over a bit, he says it's amazing that Burnout. A few years ago, we were talking about Burnout, and it vanishes once big money is flashed around. That's probably professional sport again. But has Burnout disappeared because of money?
Well, I think the money possibly keeps them going a bit longer. People are willing to go through play a bit longer because, again, it's short opportunities, and the money that people are getting is potentially life changing over a short period. Say for example, and we have to mention him. You mentioned him earlier, but Jordan Cox. Jordan Cox is receiving life-changing sums of money to play in these tournaments, and so he's going to come back and he's going to go straight into the 100, and from there it's likely that he's going to play the rest of the season for Essex. Hopefully for him, he gets opportunity in white ball cricket, and then in the winter he'll be eyeing up, where do I go again? Because you're talking Jordan Cox is highly likely in line to get paid over $1 million for his cricket this year. And you don't know when that can stop. So, yeah, you're right. Money puts a cloud over Burnout.
Yeah.
It's probably once the opportunities dry up, you then realise, oh man, I'm absolutely shattered. But yeah, the whole time people want you, you keep going.
I'm absolutely shattered. I'll just jump in my PJ and go off to my private island with my franchise cash. If Jordan Cox, Bethel till recently, Will Jacks, not sure how much he's played, Rain Ahmed potentially, what's better for them? Netting at the IPL and not playing, but surrounded by world-class players, but you're in the nets, or playing every game at county level?
I'm going to say the IPL levels are, you
Even if
cannot
you don't
compare
play a
to them.
match?
Yeah, because even if you don't play a match, because you are in and around it, you're absorbing the best minds in the world. Arguably you'll be bowled against by those bowlers. They have coaches galore. They have loads of guys just employed to fling you the ball. And I would say, yes, the actual netting side of it, okay, there's an argument for it there, but the whole absorption and the experience and what you learn, which then they can bring back to, and these guys are all very close to international cricket. That's why they're getting these opportunities. And so that they are, in a way, it's preparation for when they get to international cricket, they can stay there. That's for me is what the value of going over and doing it. Because they've all, for the wrong sort of wording, they've conquered county cricket. They know what that's about. They know they can do it. They've all performed really well, but the IPL is that next challenge that they haven't done. But if they're not playing whilst they're there, their game can get to an even better level, so that they can keep knocking on that door to play for England, which is where all those guys want to play.
You know what today is, don't you? Date-wise.
Man,
Staff
go on.
AIDS.
Oh,
Star
yes,
Wars Day, isn't it?
yes.
Star Wars Day.
It
May the
is,
4th.
yes, yeah.
May the 4th be with you. Tremendous. That hasn't got enough airtime, that gag, has it? I think it's underrated. Right, you ready for silly point? I was going to do this actually yesterday on the commentary with who was I doing? Yeah, Glamorgan, Hampshire Glamorgan. I was going to take some of my silly points to the radio, but Hampshire was so poor that I didn't have a chance. There was no sort of dull moments really because Tim van der Hoogten and the ex-Hampshire player Mason Crane were ripping through the Hampshire lineup. So didn't get a chance to do it, which would have been funny because I've done the Michael Carberry one.
I told them actually. I sent a message through. I said, he's lining up, these silly points, and they all said, no chance, we're giving it away.
Which would have been good because Michael Carberry was going to be the one I did, and he also does commentary. So there you have it. Right, you ready? Obviously, it's a cricket. Question 1. I was born in the Orange Free State province on the 20th of October 1966. I share my birthday with Snoop Dogg. Any ideas who's got the same, very similar Snoop Dogg
59,
birthday?
6. So getting close to 60.
Yeah, that sort of era. Yeah.
Yeah.
No.
If I could remember any South African cricketers currently. Go
Let's
on.
move
Okay.
on.
Next.
I'm married to an English woman called Tina. Tina, I said Tina. And we have 2 children named Oliver and Hannah. That's from Thin Blue Line, which is also underrated. If you haven't watched it, it's brilliant. Rowan Atkinson police comedy thing. Tina, Inspector Grimm's wife's called Tina. Tina, he says like that. That doesn't help. That's got nothing to do with this. Just that every time we say Tina, I have to do that voice. No ideas on that one. No. After years of travelling globally for sport, I chose to settle with my family in the Cape Winelands town of Paarl. Any idea who now lives in Paarl? Originally from the Orange Free State, or may or may not be a fan of Snoop Dogg, who shares a birthday.
60 odd. Are you going down the commentator's route? Does he come?
Well, you never know. Let's have a look. Outside of physical sports, this is similar to you. Outside of physical sports, I developed a strong academic interest in sports science, specifically reading up on the biomechanics of athletic performance and studying stretching routines. I can see you doing that. Ice cream in one hand and, stretching away. Not having any of that.
So fit, 60-year-old fit.
Cerebral type,
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, okay, next clue.
This cerebral's not working.
No, it's not. Now, this is interesting. He grew up in South Africa, as you've probably gathered by now. Obviously, he was a massive fan of rugby and football, soccer in some countries, before shifting his focus entirely to athletics in his teens. So who's an athletic sort of South African who might be 60 and may or may not like ice cream or stretching? Any ideas on that one? No?
My brain is completely blank on South African cricketers currently.
Standard excuse, that one, isn't it? You talked about commentary. Since my retirement, I've remained in the public eye by working as a sports commentator and media pundit for various networks like the SABC down in South Africa. No? This next clue is going to give it away, so you need to throw some guesses in because
it's not. Did he? I'm trying to think. There's a guy that Alan. What's his name? Who played? He's on my Gloucester chat. I think he played at Glamorgan. Gloucester former players chat. But I cannot remember his name. Go on, next.
No, this is going to give it for you. Over the course of my Test career,
Alan Watkins.
No, there was a Watkins, wasn't there? No. Over the course of my Test career, put your phone down. The bloody co-pilot.
I was trying to remember. Yeah.
I dismissed.
No.
I dismissed England captain Mike Atherton 11 times, which is the most times I dismissed any single batsman in international Test matches. Who could that be?
Well, I'm drawn then to Alan Donald, but I don't think he's 10 years older than me, AD.
We're moving on, or are you going
because
to
he's because they had an unbelievable battle, didn't they? And I know
that? Well,
he got him
Jofra
out.
especially. Yeah.
Yeah, he got him out a heck of a lot.
Well, as did McGrath, didn't he, as well?
Do I remember Alan Donald talking about and saying the word Tina like you have? Not possibly. So yeah, but then part of me does. Anyway, okay. Oh well, what if I say to you Alan Donald, and it doesn't really matter because you just go no, move on.
Is that your guess?
Well, yeah, but then you get that's not. Well, okay, keep going. Let me keep going. I'll bank that.
I held the record as South Africa's all-time leading Test wicket taker in Test matches before being surpassed by Sean Pollock.
Alan Donald.
Correct. It's Alan Donald. The answer is Alan Donald. That took a lot longer than I thought it was going to take. It's got to be said. I thought you'd get it quite quickly. But there you go. Yes, Alan Donald. Nice guy. Did you play against him? Did he play? He didn't play at Kent, did
he was at Warwickshire. He was a bit before my time, which is then why I was thinking, but is he 60? Alan Donald, all I remember is this, and there was the fitness bit that threw me off, in a way, threw me beyond AD, because he was renowned for, South African cricket was sponsored by Castle Lager, and they would send AD a barrel of lager quite regularly, and in his house he had the old pump where he would say he was a lover of beer. So I was like, oh, maybe who's, so I was thinking Jonty Rhodes. Jonty Rhodes put me as someone who down that fitness route, academic stuff. So yeah, but I got there in the end.
You did? What South Africans did you have at Kent? You had Van Jaarsveld, didn't you? Who else did you have?
Justin Kemp.
Oh, yeah, big guy. Oh, Justin Kemp.
Yeah. So yeah, he destroyed us in the 2004 when Kevin Peterson started playing for England. That one-day series went back in South Africa where he got 300s in 7 matches. Kempy destroyed us in that series. He just hit us everywhere. He
got a bit of abuse, didn't he, KP, in that one?
Loads. Yeah, and that's what sort of led to him being picked in that. That Test match in 2005 was how well he played over that winter of 2004.
There you go. Nat Sciver-Brunt has been ruled out of the New Zealand one-day series. Calf strain, tear, My Boucher from Hampshire has been called up. Does that call up suggest that My Boucher is just the next cab off the rank, or that the injury to Sciver-Brunt is sufficient enough for England to think that Boucher is going to be in the World Cup squad? Because if it was a minor injury, presumably they've gone with Davina Perrin.
No, I think with the time frame, they will be happy that Sciver-Brunt will be available for the World Cup. Whether or not she's available for the very first match, we were talking about it, football-esque, take an injured player to the World Cup, but target a match when they're available, because England will be confident they can get through to those stages, and if you can bring Nat Sciver-Brunt in at that point, that's only going to be good for you. And I think they weren't planning on it, and so Boucher is probably that next best pick that satisfies both arguments. That if Sciver-Brunt for whatever doesn't get over that calf strain, she can come in. And so Perrin, yes, she was outstanding. She got that 100, didn't she, last year? But they're probably thinking maybe she's still a bit young, or and we want a bit more experience going into the World Cup. So I think England are happy either way. Obviously, where they'd be happiest is that the calf strain that Sciver-Brunt's got isn't too serious, and just that rest and that preparation will bring her in for a specific match of the World Cup.
I think it's a tear from what I read, which is obviously a bit more longer term. But let's see. Not long to go before the that New Zealand series and the World Cup. I think starts 12th of June. I think it is that sort of type of time. And we've had a bit of a tour. What did you do? We were at Lord's on Friday, weren't we? doing our live show with Gus Fraser for Middlesex. That was good fun. And wander around Lords. You bumped into some old mates. And then you've been kenting.
I haven't, mate. No, I sort of. Oh, well, so Kent women I have. Sorry, yeah, not the men. Maybe because I stayed away, the men won. But yeah, no, Kent women. We were down at Sussex, and we had a fantastic performance where we restricted Sussex to 220 odd, and we knocked them off. Our opening bat, Coco Streets, on fire, got her second 100 in 3 matches. So it's great for her. She's worked so hard over the winter to work on her technique, and so to start the season that way. So we're currently we're in 4th position. So we've had 2 wins. We've just missed out on they've got bonus point systems in the One Day Cup. If you win with with a run rate of 1.75 or better than the opposition, then you get a bonus point. So it's something we should have got it. So it's something to work on in the week for the Kent girls, is how can we increase our net run rate, because to be able to potentially put ourselves in bonus point position, because that's where Middlesex are leading the way. They've played 2 matches and they got bonus points in both of them. So we've had the same amount of wins, but they're 2 points ahead of us. So yeah, down to Sussex by the sea on Sunday, and then a bit of golf by the sea today with Patch. Patch gets his weekly mention.
He does. Good.
Yeah, Patch was.
Welcome to the show.
So a bit of golf
Pat.
today.
How'd you play?
Yeah. Played all right. Yeah, not too bad. I've booked in a lesson for next Tuesday as well. Just to with the short game doctor. His name is Andrew Tiley, a former European pro player, European Tour player. So looking forward to that. So it's mate. I've had a nice bank holiday weekend, to be honest, and avoided the gardening, which was even better.
Excellent stuff. Yeah, I was said a couple of times at commentary yesterday for Hampshire Glamorgan with Kev James and Rob Phillips, who was the BBC Wales football correspondent for a long time. He was good fun. What did you say the name of the opening bat from Kent was?
Coco Streets.
That's
but
brilliant.
It's actually not her proper name.
No,
she
well,
was named Coco
relevant,
as a youngster, and she's just gone with it. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I think next week what we're going to do, I think we haven't done an 11 for a while, have we? I think next week we've got Max Morley on. Sort of played cricket up in the Durham area, but Love Island winner. I'll message him actually, because I think what we might do is a best name 11, because Coco Street's got to be up there. That's a tremendous name, I think. So yeah, best 11. So if anyone listening to this can think, they've got to be real cricketers. You can't just make people up, right? So they've got to be real cricketers, best 11 or best names. I think we should go with something like that, don't you? There's got to be some.
Okay,
there's going to be some ones in history, like Rusty Rickleton or something. One of those type things.
I guarantee you, Geraint Jones isn't making it. That is for sure.
No, exactly. There's not many of the modern ones are, but Coco Streets is definitely opening my batting. There you go, mate. Brilliant stuff. I will speak to you next week. See you later.
Mate.